Today I am reviewing the brand new Boss Bottled Absolute, a new release from Hugo Boss. It's hard to keep up sometimes with the Hugo Boss releases because they seem to come very fast. Every few months there seems to be a new Hugo Boss fragrance. This is not Boss Bottled Absolute, this is Boss Bottled Absolu. Now I've been really impressed with a couple of new releases from Hugo Boss. Notably last year they released Boss Bottled ELIXIR, which I think is one of the best ELIXIR fragrances that has been made, second maybe just to Dior Sauvage ELIXIR. So I think the Boss Bottled ELIXIR is a fantastic fragrance and it was one of the best fragrance releases of last year. You don't always know what you're going to get with Hugo Boss when they release so many. There have been a couple of fragrances that just felt like they were rushed or felt like we didn't really need them in the fragrance world. However, when I tried Boss Bottled Absolu, I was blown away. An interesting point to make about the Boss Bottled flankers is none of them seem to have much in common with the original Boss Bottled. You have other fragrance lines like Sauvage, like Bleu de Chanel, like YSLY, and all of those fragrances kind of keep in the same line of one another. They seem to just change a few of the notes, but overall the DNA is very similar. But with the Hugo Boss Bottled flankers, there doesn't seem to be much correlation from one fragrance to the next. They seem to be just their own individual fragrances, which is fine as well. So how does Boss Bottled Absolute smell? I have worn it a few times this week, but I'm going to spray it on a test strip so we can go through this together. So straight away, it's a patchouli heavy fragrance like ELIXIR. ELIXIR focuses a lot on patchouli as the dominant note, and it's the same in here as well. It's patchouli heavy, but there's a kind of greenness to it. There's a green note, but you pick up on these smoky, resinous, sticky notes straight away. And actually, when you look at the notes, you don't get an idea of how sweet this is, but it actually has a lot of sweetness when you spray it on your skin and also on a test strip. It has quite an addictive smell. Because of it's leathery, it's smoky, it's patchouli, and it's sweet. They're the kind of main notes I get. And with this resinous, sticky quality, it feels like a sticky fragrance, and it does when you spray it on your skin as well. It is a warming, sweet, inviting fragrance, and it just smells so much better than I expected. For me, this is one of the best releases of the year. I would argue that so far in the designer market, this has been the most enjoyable and most surprising fragrance of this year in terms of how it smells. You know, a lot of the new fragrances released at the moment in the designer game, they feel a little bit rushed. They feel like money grabs, some of them, not all of them. I'm just thinking about 1 Million Gold that I've got recently, which I just thought was a really boring and pointless fragrance. I will do a video on that at some point. When I heard about this, I didn't have, that many high hopes, but I'm very, very surprised. I'm really impressed with how this smells. Do you know how this smells? This kind of smells like, not exactly, it's a bit of a lazy way to describe it, but it kind of smells like you've mixed the bottled ELIXIR here with Parfums de Marly's Layton. I know that's quite a brave thing to say because Parfums de Marly Layton is a expensive niche fragrance, but it has the characters of these two fragrances. It has the really dominant masculine patchouli smokiness from ELIXIR, and it has the inviting, sweet, spicy, date night kind of scent that you get in Layton. So it's like if you mix those two together, you get something like this. This is brilliant. When is the best time to wear Boss Bottled Absolute? For me, it feels like a cold weather fragrance, but it feels like a versatile cold weather fragrance. It's not anything divisive or challenging. It's just got those sweet smoky notes that make me just think of cold weather. You know what this reminds me of? Like walking outside in the cold. So if you're like walking through a park, it's snowing, or you're going to like Winter Wonderland in London or something like that, walking outside in the cold weather. This has a really inviting, charismatic, almost charming scent profile, and I think that works really well in the cold weather. But I think if you wanted like an everyday signature scent for the cold weather, so think of the whole autumn and winter months, you want a fragrance that you can wear every day, it's not going to offend anyone, but it's going to smell really warming and inviting. I think this would be a really excellent choice. How does it perform? The performance on this is really good. It's especially good on clothes. I noticed that when I sprayed a long sleeve t-shirt the other day. It latched onto the clothing and I wore the same top the next day and I could smell it really clearly. On the skin, it's not as longer lasting on the clothes, but it certainly has decent performance. It might not be as good as Bottled ELIXIR. I get really excellent performance from this, but this is very good performance. If a scale of 1 to 10, for the price point and the fact that it's a designer fragrance, I'd give this an 8 out of 10 in the performance performance category. So are there any alternatives to bottled Absolu? I haven't smelt any direct alternatives. Like I said, I think it smells like a mixture of these two fragrances, of Leighton and Boss Bottled Elixir. It doesn't smell like either one particularly, but these are just what it smells like mixed together. I would say the most obvious alternative would be the Bottled Elixir. If you want something that's not quite as sweet, if you want something that is has a bit more performance, a bit more smoky, just a bit more of a fuller, masculine, manly fragrance, I think go for Bottled Elixir. However, if you're looking for the extra sweetness, a fragrance that really, I do think this is perfect for date nights. The more I'm thinking about it, the more this is like a excellent date night scent. If you're looking for that kind of scent, so think of like a really manly fragrance that's warming, seductive, inviting, but does have those strong, smoky characters as well. That is what this is. Perfect for date nights, perfect for the cold weather. So what are my final thoughts? Do I like it, and what is the score I would give this? Well, I think you could tell I really love this. I'm really excited by this kind of fragrance, only because I see the way that the designer fragrances are going at the moment. There's not been much been released recently that's really impressed me. There's not been anything that's surprised me. I haven't tried, of course, all new releases, but I do get to try most of them, and there's been nothing recently that's really kind of shocked me and surprised me, but this has, and I think this deserves a lot better ratings than it gets online. My personal score for this would be 9 out of 10. As it is released further, as it becomes not a brand new release, you'll start to see this as you do a lot of Hugo Boss fragrances on discount websites. I think of websites like Notino, and you'll be able to buy like a big 200ml bottle for less than £100, and I think at that sort of price, the fragrance you're getting versus everything else that's out at the moment is a bargain, and I think my personal rating of this is a 9 out of 10. So this will be available to buy in sample form on my website visionaryfragrances.com in the UK and the EU. So I'm really keen to hear your thoughts. Have you tried Boss Bottled Absolu? What did you think of it? Do you think that I'm right in giving it a 9 out of 10? I'd love to hear your thoughts. See you soon.